Welcome back for week 2 of the Difference Sports podcast show. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. Again, we're not an Oscar-winning performance set up here. I got the phone taped to the training room wall here at Southern Columbia. It's going to do it in the press box for the JV game, but that game was actually canceled, and it's like a sauna up there. So thank you to trainer Tim Jernak for allowing us to use his training room. We're going to try and get through this without any interruptions. Obviously, other sports are practicing, so they have every right to be in the room to get water and stuff. As we mentioned last week, week 1 of the season, I'm going to do some picks each week to see what my record will be. You can pick along with me to see if you can beat me. Leave comments on the Facebook or YouTube channel. Last week I went 8-2. I'm happy with the start. The one game I thought would be an upset, just based off of historical relevance, was Lewisburg beating Selinsgrove, and that did happen. Dylan Farinato had 9 catches for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another win was Central Mountain losing to Williamsport. I picked Williamsport to win that big, and they did. Trayson Potts came back from injury, and the senior running back only carried the ball 9 times, but had 150 yards and 5 touchdowns. Probably the biggest marquee matchup last week in the Heartland Conference was Mount Carmel taking on Central. Central Columbia led that one 7-2 for the majority of the game, but Mount Carmel came back to win it. Shane Widener had a receiving touchdown as well as a rushing touchdown. South Williamsport playing Montgomery. South Williamsport lost a lot from last year. However, I did pick them to beat Montgomery, and Montgomery led that one early on until South Williamsport scored the final 25 points. So that put me at 4-0. One of my losses, I picked Hughesville to beat Mifflinburg. That was not correct. Mifflinburg, the Wildcats won that one fairly easily, and in big part to Riley Stahl, who had 9 catches for 124 yards. Shamokin Milton. Obviously, I have to go with the Southern-born man, Henry Inoski. The Indians won. I picked that one. Shamokin has already equaled their win total from last season after 1 week of action. Danville-Shikellamy, another interesting matchup. I picked the Ironmen. They won. Peyton Persing had a nice game. 90-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Here comes the trainer, guest appearing, Tim Jernak. Shane Kozik actually had 10 catches in that win as well. Not often you see at the high school level somebody with 10 catches in a game. Midwest versus Marion Catholic, that's where I had my second loss. I went with the Colts. I underestimated the Mustangs. Midwest's first ever game of high school football in their school's history, and they won it. Congratulations to the Mustangs. Abington Heights at Berwick. I picked the Bulldogs to win, and they did just that. Former Southern player Tegan Wilk had an outstanding first game with a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown. He had a return touchdown that was called back, and he also had an interception. Bloomsburg versus Southern Columbia. Obviously, I think that was a no-brainer. I was going with the Tigers. The rush defense played outstanding, especially in the first half. They held Bloomsburg's team and everybody individually to negative yards rushing. The offense picked up right where they left off last season, scoring 56 points. This week, we're going to get into the college football season. The following week, we'll get into NFL. What I'm going to do is pick 5 college games, 5 NFL games, and 10 high school games every week. Let's start with the high school games since that's where we were at. Central Columbia at Shikellamy. Shikellamy lost a lot from last year. I'm going with the Blue Jays to rebound from that loss to Mount Carmel. I'm picking Central Columbia. Hughesville at Montoursville. Montoursville's probably the biggest turnaround team in the Williamsport area from last year. They were 2-8. They'll equal their win total after this week. I'm going with the Warriors. Pittston at Berwick. Going with Berwick. Stronger and faster, it seems, from everything I'm hearing, so I'm going with the Bulldogs in that one. Lewisburg at Central Mountain. Going with the Green Dragons to move to 2-0 on the season. Blue Mountain at Midwest. I picked against Midwest the first week. Unfortunately, Mustang fans, I'm going to do it again. I'm going with Blue Mountain, the Eagles, to win that one. Schuylkill Haven at Lehighton. Lehighton will beat Schuylkill Haven for the 2nd year in a row. Mifflinburg at Bloomsburg. Even though Bloomsburg got shellacked by the Tigers last week, I still think they have a good enough team to beat Mifflinburg. They had players that made plays. Southern was just more skilled all around. North Schuylkill at Shamokin. Sorry, Coach Hynoski, I got to go with the Spartans in this one. North Schuylkill has too many skill players returning, and the line will factor in as well. Danville at Loyalsock, probably the toughest matchup of the week to pick. I'm going with the Ironmen to move to 2-0 on the season, even though they're on the road. And obviously, the matchup that everybody around the state wants to hear about, Southern Columbia traveling to Mount Carmel area. Last year, the Tigers and Tornadoes matched up twice, once in the regular season, and that was a competitive game till the end. It took a defensive touchdown to swing it in the Tigers' favor to win that one. First half of the District 4 AA Championship last year. Mount Carmel was winning early on in the first quarter. Southern took the lead going into halftime. Then in the second half, Gage Garcia took the game over by having over 300 yards of total offense and 4 touchdowns. Also in the third quarter, it was a weird one with fumbles, interceptions. There were 6 turnovers in the third quarter alone last year. I don't expect to see that at all. I think one of the keys this week will be who wins the turnover battle and who jumps up early on. Obviously, the Tigers aren't used to trailing. They were trailing against Mount Carmel and handled it great. But both of those games last year were at Tiger Stadium. This one's at the Silver Bowl. And it's also the PCM game of the week, which means folks all around the state think that this is the premier game. Obviously, 2 of the most historically successful programs in Pennsylvania meeting up for that early season clash. College football games. Love college football. Glad to hear it's back. Washington versus Auburn. That game's in Atlanta. Auburn's the number 9 seed. Washington's the number 6 team in the country. I'm going with Auburn. Even though they're the lower ranked team, I think the Auburn Tigers have a better squad this year than the Washington Huskies, so Auburn in that one. Tennessee versus West Virginia. Obviously, the quarterback position is so important in the college level, any level, obviously. Will Greer is a Heisman candidate for the Mountaineers. I'm going with West Virginia to knock off the Tennessee Volunteers. Michigan versus Notre Dame. Obviously, a matchup that's been going on for a long time. 2 historic universities. I'm going with Notre Dame. It's at home. It's at Notre Dame Stadium. If Notre Dame loses this one to Troy's Michigan Wolverines, Brian Kelly's got to be on the hot seat. So I'm going with the Irish in that one. Miami versus LSU. That's a Sunday night game, and it's being played in Texas, so neither team has home field advantage. I'm going with Miami because of that turnover chain that pumps them up. A lot of turnovers I'm seeing in that one. Virginia Tech versus Florida State. You can't pick against the Noles at Doak Campbell, especially on a Monday night. They've played Monday nights the last couple of years and have had a lot of success. If it was in Blacksburg, my choice might be different, but I'm going with the Noles in that one. So, that gets rid of the predictions. We'll see how we do next week. Joined right now by Southern Columbia, 3-year starting quarterback, Stone Hollenbach. He was an All-Stater last year. And Troy Donlan, 4-year letter winner, 3-year starting center, 2 of the team's 4 captains. Thanks for joining me, fellas.
Thank you, Dick.
Okay, I'm going to start asking both of you a couple questions, and then we're going to get into the fun stuff. Okay, Stone. Obviously, last year's team was historic on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, but the offense scoring 815 points. What do you think is the biggest difference between this year and last year's team?
I think last year, the offensive line was all returning. I think that was the biggest part, Everyone on the offensive line knew each other from playing with each other the previous year, and everyone gelled so well. And, really, if you have a good offensive line, you're going to have a good offense no matter what type of offense you run, and especially in the wing T, if you have a good offensive line, you're really going to score a lot of points and really going to move the ball.
Absolutely. No matter, and here's a line right next to me, no matter what coach you talk to at any level, it all starts with the line. Obviously, they're not the players that get the headlines, but they do the dirty work and allow your quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and other skill players to get the headlines in the newspapers. Troy, I'm picking, it's going to be a rematch, Mount Carmel area versus Southern Columbia in the district championship, but obviously a long way to go. So this could potentially be your last game ever against Mount Carmel area. What do you think this rivalry has turned out to be since the early 90s to mean to this area?
This rivalry, Mount Carmel, has always given Southern one of their best games of the season, I think. Mount Carmel has always had these pretty good teams the last few years, and they've been able to hang in there with us and give us a good game. So, I mean, what was the rest of your question?
Just what does it mean to the area in terms of, obviously, high school football in the Cole region area is going back a long way, and to still have two successful teams, obviously, hopefully for Henry, the Indians can bounce back to where they were in the 70s, but just Mount Carmel has the most wins in Pennsylvania history. Southern Columbia has the most championships in Pennsylvania history. And it seems like everybody bleeds football around here.
Yeah, it really shows. Our area is the best place for football, high school football right now. It's the place to be.
Okay, Stone. First of all, congratulations for getting that preferred walk-on at Alabama. What was the ultimate decision? You did have some other FCS scholarship opportunities and stuff, but what was the ultimate decision to land you down in Tuscaloosa next fall?
Yeah, well, I've always been a huge Alabama fan, and you know, I went down there for a game last year. I went down there for camp this year, and they invited me down to a cookout in July. So I went down there. You know, I had the offer before I went down there and got into camp.
Yep.
And when I went down there, you know, I just asked a couple questions. You know, I asked what it all entailed and everything, and you know, it seemed like a pretty good deal. And you know, I feel like they were being pretty truthful with me. I mean, they didn't really have to lie to me about anything. You know, they get the best players in the country every year. So, you know, basically, really the big deciding factor was, you know, I just asked them if I would have an opportunity to compete for a starting job, and they said, you know, everyone in the roster has that opportunity. So, you know, that was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, what was it like? Obviously, you see him on TV and stuff, but having that first, I guess, chat session with Coach Saban, knowing that he's the GOAT in terms of college football, at least he's in the conversation for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting when he tells you that he wants you to be a part of his football program. You know, like you said, that's probably you could argue the greatest college coach of all time. So it was pretty intimidating, pretty exciting at the same time.
Okay, obviously I mentioned you're two of the four captains. The other two are John Stabinsky in 06, Troy. As one of the captains and returning four-year letter winner, what's the main thing you're trying to take on as a leadership role this season for not just the younger players, but also the returning other veterans coming off that state championship season last year?
Well, I'm trying to set a good example for the younger guys, and especially we just want to show guys that we mean business this year. We're ready to put in the time and the work to get back to where we want to be, which would be another state championship. So really, we got to take things one week at a time, telling guys there's 10 regular season games before you even hit district playoffs. So we got to take it one step at a time.
Okay, Stone, you've obviously had an outstanding career in its own right, but I know you're happy to have as many weapons as you do. At the college level, you're obviously going to see guys at the Division I level that are playmakers all over the field, but not only to be at a high school level, but in terms of the state, it's a smaller high school level. Obviously, 6 classifications, one of the smaller AA schools. I guess I'll say it as simple as this, how happy are you to have the talents like Julian, Gage, Preston, Gavin, Ty, and so many more that you can go on and on, just to be able to, again, when you go down to Alabama, you're going to see that kind of talent, but at the high school level.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome, really. Not a lot of quarterbacks don't have the opportunity to have a Division I receiver in high school. So, you know, really with that being said, you know, it gets me ready for college, you know, having a receiver like that. But it's not just Julian, like you said, you know, we have another receiver that I have full confidence in, Preston. Obviously Gage, you know, he was dragging some defenders for some long runs Friday. He's, you know, incredibly strong. He's a great running back. And Ty's really underappreciated just because, you know, fullback in our offense, picking up a lot of blocks and not getting a lot of yards, but he's a big part as well. And you know, obviously the new Garcia, not there yet, but he'll get there, especially with his older brother. You know, he'll be just as talented, if not more talented, in a couple years.
Yep. Final question, Troy. Take me to Friday night around 10 o'clock. Whoever wins the outcome, what's going to be the determining factor of who wins the matchup with the Tornadoes and why?
I'm going to say the battle in the trenches between the line, both lines. That's where most football games are won. and especially with Mount Carmel, the way they run their offense, they're going to be pulling guys to the opposite side line pretty much, and we're going to have to come at them and try to be as physical as we can to hopefully win the game. And I think that's what it's going to be won in the trenches.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an old-fashioned high school football game. There's going to be some passing, obviously, especially on the southern side, but you're going to see a lot of ground and pound on that dirt, as I used to say, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Hoping to see more than 3 yards, but nonetheless, we're going to go on. I don't know anybody that tuned in last week. I had Cal Halliday and Gage Garcia on for the first ever game. I'm going to try and do a game every week to have fun with these players. I have 2 seniors here. So, obviously you're both going to college next year. Stone, I hope you know that Alabama is the Crimson Tide. Obviously, I know you know. Troy, I know you know that Michigan's the Wolverines, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give each of you, and we're doing it just like last week, 8 chances apiece in honor of the 8 state championships Southern's won. I'm going to give each of you 8 colleges, and you're going to tell me what their mascot is. So again, like Alabama, Crimson Tide, Oregon Ducks, Penn State, Nittany Lions. Who wants to go first?
You go first.
All
All right, we'll go with Troy. Troy's going first. East Carolina.
I don't know.
School where Chris Johnson went and played.
I couldn't tell you.
Well, you can't give up.
East Carolina, you know.
Well, I'm not giving easy ones. I mean,
Yeah,
anybody
no,
knows
no.
Notre Dame's the Fighting Irish.
You want me to take
I
it?
think they're a bird.
A bird?
Take
Some
it?
type of bird. Are they some
Want me to
type of
take
bird?
it?
Is that close?
I know. They're Pirates.
The Pirates? That doesn't count for Stone, but he lost his first chance. Troy blew that one. Kind of like Michigan's blew a lot of games in the 4th quarter recently.
Listen, it's just gonna be there. Don't worry.
Oh, this is
Don't worry
good.
about it.
It's always going
They
to be
got
here.
they got a quarterback now, so
Okay.
problems are gonna be solved.
Good. Good. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay, Stone, your first question. New Mexico.
Ooh, aren't they like the Lobos or something?
Lobos. 1-0. Hollenbach. Quarterback over
I
lineman.
was tackling though.
New Mexico Lobos. So 1-0. Stone. Next one. This is my favorite mascot name of all time. Troy, Louisiana Lafayette.
Oh, I know that one too.
No, focus. Louisiana Lafayette.
Louisiana Lafayette. I don't know these teams.
The Raging Cajuns.
Now you're giving him the opportunity to show off here. Raging Cajuns. Gosh. Stone, your next one. Hawaii.
Oh, the Rainbow Warriors.
Rainbow Warriors. 2-0. You got to pick it up
I
here.
wasn't gonna know that one.
Man. Troy, these are all Division I schools. How about Tulane?
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm not trying to embarrass you.
Tulane, I think you are.
Think of like Alabama in a way.
Yes, it's not. It's a
similar.
singular.
It's similar.
Think of the beach.
Yeah. But it's like a different color. It's not blue. Look at Tim.
The trader over here knows it.
I don't know. It's a wave.
What
Green
color?
wave?
Yes,
There you
good
go.
job. I
There you
can't
go.
believe you were able to
Dude, I
fight
don't
through
know
it.
any of these.
It's the Tulane Green Wave. So what do we have? 2-1.
Yeah.
Stone.
You can give me one. Give me a free.
Okay. Next one, Stone. Marshall.
Thundering Herd.
Thundering Herd. He knows his college football
I
mascots.
do.
Okay. Stone's winning 3-1. The Marshall Thundering Herd. Okay. I'll give you another hint here, Troy. This one starts with a color as well. Kent State. Kent State. And it's one of your school's colors.
Tim's over there looking it up.
Kent State.
I'm gonna pass.
He's going to pass, do you know?
Pass it.
Golden Flash.
Golden Flash is correct. All right, I think we're going to safely say that Stone won this one. We're going to take the respectful route like
Thanks.
Southern Columbia's coaching staff does. They don't want to run the score up. So we're going to continue to play, but I'm not going to say the score anymore. Okay, Stone, your turn. Western Kentucky.
Oh, the Hilltoppers.
Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Troy. Rice.
Oh, that's an easy one.
This is pretty basic.
Owls.
There you go.
Rice Owls. We should have Tim play this game. Like a WWE tag team.
Tag Tim.
This is a neat nickname. Coastal Carolina.
Chanticleers.
Chanticleers is correct.
I was waiting for you to say that one.
Akron, Troy.
Zips.
Yes!
Yeah! There we go.
How'd you know that? They beat
Zips.
Michigan too.
No, Michigan beat them up.
Oh, good. Kind of like they beat up Appalachian State that year.
Dude, that's how long ago? Why are you bringing that up? Why does that matter?
Just speaking of
Just
the
watch
truth.
this season. That's
Okay.
all you need to know.
Okay. San Diego State.
Aztecs.
San Diego State. Aztecs is correct. Troy Bowling Green out of Ohio.
Ooh.
Their mascot is the same mascot of a bird in the NFL.
A bird in the NFL is from Georgia.
Birds. Are they
They're from Georgia.
the Falcons?
Yeah. The Falcons. Okay. Oh, what do I have? Appalachian State.
The Mountaineers,
The
right?
Mountaineers. When they went into
Don't bring that
I don't even remember that.
Ann
That's how long
Arbor,
ago?
block field goal. My
I think
goodness.
how long ago was that?
I don't know. Don't leave the picture. No need to be embarrassed.
How long
Okay.
ago was that? That was like 2007.
Here,
I was like
I'm giving you
7.
another one with a color in it.
remember.
Okay? Giving you another one with a color in it.
Okay.
North Texas.
Mean Green.
Ooh, how do you know that?
I always played them for NCAA.
Okay.
My favorite
So there, you
team.
got two by yourself.
Alright.
Okay. Stone to go perfect 8 for 8. Tulsa. Tulsa.
Well, I think I know this. Are they the Hurricanes?
There's a color in front of
Okay,
them.
okay. Is it golden?
Golden Hurricane is correct.
I,
Stone Hollenbach is the first outright winner. There was a tie last week, so I guess, Troy, you're the first non-winner, so that's
It's an
still,
honor.
it's got to be an honor, yes. So, that about does it for week 2. Again, you probably hear the water, the ice making machine in the background. We're just kind of flying by night. Maybe next year I'll go out and purchase some equipment. I'm going to look for some sponsors. Again, this is shooting from the iPhone 6. I'm sure I'm going to get complaints again about the quality of it. Honestly, I don't really care. It's for fun. Again, I'm not going to win an Oscar. Thanks again to Tim Jernak. Anybody listening to this game, it will be on the radio. Obviously, you'd be dumb not to come to it, but it'll be on the radio as well as Black Diamond Sports Network. This will be the only game this season that I will not be announcing. Our Mount Carmel crew, since it's at Mount Carmel, will be announcing this one. However, our pregame show will start at 6:20 rather than 6:40, and that's because the amount of ads we have this week. I will be doing the pregame show. We're going to do a history of the Tigers and Tornadoes leading up to the 7 o'clock showdown, and I'll also be on for halftime with the stats. You can also, on Saturday, again, I'm writing for PAFootballNews.com, so you can tune into that. Hope you tune in next week. Thank you, Stone. Thank you, Troy. You're listening to the Different Sports Podcast Show. Episode 2 is officially over. Goodbye.